It's not an uncommon opinion that 2019 hasn't been an amazing year for new game releases, especially in comparison to 2018 and 2017, which came right before it. Currently, I'd say most major outlets will have a shortlist that looks something like Resident Evil 2 Remake, Sekiro, Kingdom Hearts 3, Devil May Cry 5, Fire Emblem Three Houses, and maybe Apex Legends. Even the indie scene has seen some great hits this year, like Slay the Spire, Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, and Katana Zero. But obviously, if you've read the title of this video, you know I'm going to talk about Outer Worlds, which is an amazing open world title about space exploration. Wait, it's Outer Wilds? What's Outer Worlds? Oh, just another game that almost sounds exactly the same that is also about space exploration and is a contender for Game of the Year? I'm sure the developers love that. Outer Wilds is an open-world adventure game that is set within a single solar system. Any coverage of this game will immediately mention that it should be experienced completely blind. It's a roughly 12-hour playthrough if you don't know what you're getting into, and for me, it became all-consuming. When I wasn't playing the game, I was thinking about the concepts the game presented, and even after finishing it, I still can't get some of its best moments out of my head. Now, I'm going to start this video with a spoiler-free section, or at least as spoiler-free as I think possible to still keep it interesting, before eventually going into a more spoiler-light section. Because hey, you're here. Let me whet your palate on why I think this game should be considered for Game of the Year. Outer Wilds is an open-world space exploration game meets Groundhog's Day. The game takes place inside a singular solar system, where you, an unnamed character of an alien species known as Hearthians, wake up to the day that you have dreamed of for all your life. It's the day that you get to travel into space and explore the solar system. I do want to take a quick second to point out this game has a perfect tutorial area. You wake up, get introduced to this alien guy here, he tells you that you need to go speak to another guy to get the launch codes before you can take off into space. So you set off, and you can choose to talk to a bunch of people along the way, learning the lore about the world, how to control yourself, or just go straight to the guy with the codes. Two major things to note here are the NOMAI, a long-extinct alien race who left ruins all over the solar system, and perhaps most interestingly, the game introduces the Quantum Stones, which, oh boy, do I love these. You see, Quantum Stones exist in a position only when consciously observed, but when you look away from them and look back, they disappear, only to reappear at another location. The quantum mechanics in this game are fascinating. You can make an entire game out of this shit alone, and it would be great. But this is just a part, although a sizable part, of Outer Wilds. Like I said, you're given the option to explore as much or as little of the opening area as you would like to. The guide at the beginning tells you exactly where you need to go. It's up to the player to explore. And this is very much the attitude that the game has for the rest of its playthrough. It does very little to hold your hand or tell you what to do. But once you grab the codes, you try to pass by this ancient NOMAI statue, and bam! Crazy shit happens. But hey, whatever, it's time to go into space. What do you do first? Go to the moon, the closest spot where you've been told there are NOMAI ruins to explore? Use your sound telescope to find the locations of the other astronauts, each of whom is playing a different instrument in the void of space? Or check out that thing that you saw explode right as you woke up? Ultimately, it doesn't matter. Because as you're going to find out, 22 minutes after you wake up in the morning, the sun is going to explode and everything and everyone in the solar system is going to die. Except you! Kind of. Remember that statue that turned and looked at you? Well, now it's saving your memories, and no matter what happens, you're gonna jump back to the moment that you woke up that day. Also, speaking of things happening to you, you're gonna die a lot in this game. I think I died more in this game than an entire playthrough of Dark Souls. Seriously, death constantly surrounds you in this game. My first death, I launched into space and was looking at my map trying to decide where to go. The whole solar system was my oyster. Before I realized, I was getting dangerously close to the sun. And then, before I could back out of the map screen, whoops. And this is why I'll never work at NASA. This is one of Outer Wilds' greatest strengths, however. No matter what, you only have 22 minutes, and as such, nothing in the game is that hard to get to. At most, you're looking at a minute to travel between any of the planets, so you never feel crunched for time. I would contrast this to Majora's Mask, another favorite of mine, where you might feel incredibly frustrated if something didn't go perfectly planned on the third day, since you wasted so much time to get there. The only thing gatekeeping you in this game is your own knowledge. There's no new tools to unlock, no new skills to upgrade. If you know how to finish the game, you can do it immediately. But it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. And while I'm here, let me touch briefly on the sound design of this game, which is incredible. Each of the planets has their own music, which perfectly sets the tone, but no matter where you are, once you get within 2 minutes or so of the sun going supernova, you start to hear this music. It doesn't scream, "Hurry up, you're out of time!" It's more of a, "Hey, the universe is ending." That's how it goes. I have so many emotions wrapped up in this song, and you do too if you've played this game. Let's talk about it on my Discord, dog. Come on. But at the end of the day, this game is about exploration, picking a planet to go to, landing, and finding something new while you're there. It becomes apparent very quickly that the NOMAI were into some deep sciencey shit, and conveniently, they wrote a lot of it down. One really unique idea is their style of writing, which was done entirely on walls and has branching paths, each line representing one NOMAI's response to another. This creates an amazing sense of personality for fictional characters in a video game that you don't even see on screen. This heavily reminded me of the Talos Principle, and if you like that game, I have a strong feeling you're going to love this one. Each of the planets in this game is super unique, and each brings its own interesting thing to the game. The closest to the Sun is the Hourglass Twins, two exceptionally small planets that rotate in orbit around each other. The Ashen Twin dumps sand on the Ember Twin, uncovering the secrets on the Ashen Twin while it covers up others on the Ember Twin, forcing the player to move quickly if they want to uncover everything inside the ancient ruins there. Timberhearth is the starting planet, and the most habitable for your species, but that doesn't mean it's exempt from secret NOMAI ruins. Brittle Hollow has a moon featuring multiple volcanoes which rain down magma balls to its surface, breaking it apart and revealing a straight-up black hole at the center of the planet. You will accidentally be caught in its gravitational pull, many times. Giant's Deep, which first appears as a gas giant, is actually much worse. It's a water level in a video game. On top of this, the planet is covered by cyclones, which will throw you or any of the islands straight up into space before you plummet back to the surface. This was easily my least favorite planet, even more so than Dark Bramble, a planet that was destroyed from the inside by what seems to be a giant plant that burst from its center. This place is also hated by the game's fanbase for other reasons. You find out the NOMAI discovered a signal somewhere in the universe that was actually older than the universe itself, and they named the source of the signal the Eye of the Universe, and they became obsessed with finding it. So much so that hundreds of thousands of years ago, they came to the solar system the game takes place in because they believed the Eye was orbiting somewhere outside of it, although they had a very hard time pinpointing where. Remember the quantum stones I mentioned earlier? It's theorized the Eye of the Universe is made entirely of this material. In fact, there's a quantum moon in this game. It will, at random, orbit a planet in the solar system until that player sees it and then looks away. And don't even get me started on trying to land on this thing. If that doesn't make you want to play this game, then shit, you're hopeless. Okay, moving forward in this video, I'm going to start giving off some more spoilers here. So if you want to experience this game blind, which I implore you to do, please go pick this game up now. So, a clan of the NOMAI came to the solar system hundreds of thousands of years ago, searching for the Eye of the Universe. Their original ship, the Vessel, was caught in the Dark Bramble, and 2 escape pods broke off to form 2 separate colonies, one underneath the surface of the Ashen Twin, known as the Sunless City, and one inside Brittle Hollow, known as the Hanging City. The NOMAI discovered the black hole inside Brittle Hollow didn't crush all life and light, but instead functioned as a wormhole and teleported you to a white hole on the far reaches of the solar system. They also found out that when something arrived on the other side of this warp, it actually arrived 1,000th of a second earlier than when it entered. Soon, they discovered how to emulate this teleportation themselves and set out to exploit this to discover the location of the Eye of the Universe. They knew 1,000th of a second was practically nothing, but if more energy was put in, then more time could be recovered in the teleportation. And by constructing a powerful cannon that could fire in any direction, they could shoot a probe into space, and if it found the Eye of the Universe, they would finally know its location. But if it failed, they could use the time-saving property of the teleportation to essentially send that data back in time, so the cannon could fire in a new direction. This is why every time you wake up and see the cannon explode, it's actually shooting off in a different direction. However, in order to harness enough energy to have enough time for the probe to possibly find the Eye of the Universe, say 22 minutes, they would need to harness the power of the sun, specifically the energy released by the sun going supernova. The NOMAI constructed a space station that would trigger the sun to go supernova, along with a separate space station on the Ash Twin that could briefly survive the blast while absorbing the absurd amount of energy created from the explosion and use that energy to send the probe's data back in time, effectively saving the data it finds while exploring the deep reaches of space. I've mentioned before that reading the recorded dialogue of the NOMAI really humanizes them, and after a certain amount of time you start recognizing names and associating them with certain personalities. All of this comes with characters in a video game who you never even see on screen. They have siblings, others they love. They have insecurities, the burden of responsibilities, respect for tradition, and even concern for the future. Many of the written dialogues between the NOMAI generated an emotional response from within me, but two in particular hit hard, and I'm sure if you've played this game, you know which ones I'm talking about. The first is in the Ash Twin Project Station, which is where the NOMAI were planning to harness the power of the supernova. By the time you've found this point, you have a pretty good idea of what the NOMAI were trying to do, and there are many things written on the wall here, but eventually, one simply reads that they did not succeed in forcing the sun into a supernova, which ultimately means everything that they had been working for had failed. They would have to find another way to reach the Eye of the Universe. After hours and hours of reading about the combined effort of all of the NOMAI, for it to be written out so quickly feels like such a deep blow to the player, and you can tell the NOMAI feel the same. This moment feels so uniquely human. The combined effort of so many failing is an experience that you can't help but feel empathy for. It's also interesting because since the probe is set to fire 22 minutes before the sun goes supernova, and millennia after the NOMAI failed to destroy the sun, you're now living in a time when the sun is naturally dying. And as you can see if you look into space, a lot of suns seem to be dying. Turns out, this is the actual end of the universe. The NOMAI had set up an elaborate Rube Goldberg machine, and you just happen to be in the right place at the right time to observe it. The second piece of writing that hit hard is in regards to the Interloper, a comet that is in an oblong orbit very close to the sun, and towards the end of the 22-minute cycle actually crashes into the sun as it expands. The next entry after the NOMAI saying the Ash Twin project was a failure was an optimistic one, remarking that something new was entering the solar system, and after years of exploring the same stuff, this would finally give them something new to discover. However, the Interloper, which is a somewhat ominous title, lives up to its name. Once inside, you find it loaded with lethal ghost matter, and just before you arrive at the center, you find a dead NOMAI, whose body is covered in crystals. In the core, you find a giant crystal, and another dead NOMAI, along with a recording of their final dialogue. They made it to the inside of the Interloper, only to realize it was carrying the deadly ghost matter, and about to explode and coat the entire solar system, which would kill all of the NOMAI. One of them turned around to run and warn the rest of the NOMAI, but as you can see, they at best only got 30 yards before the crystal exploded, and the entire NOMAI clan that were in the solar system were completely wiped out. The thing is, I found this scene before I got into the Ash Twin project, and this made it even worse. Seeing the optimism they felt about researching the Interloper, and knowing that it was ultimately their doom, was a real bummer. And that's one of the things I love the most about this game. Because it's completely open, everybody who plays it is going to have an entirely different experience. I have read, listened, and watched countless entries of players talking about how they experienced the game, what order they uncovered the secrets of the NOMAI, what personal stories they created in playing this game, and in this era of spoiler culture where everything is at the tip of your fingers, being able to craft your own experience like this is amazing. Also, just briefly, on your final loop of a playthrough, this song, just wow. I got so emotional hearing this. The way it takes the song that you associate with the death of the sun and the end of your current life and completely turns it on its head is nothing short of incredible. And I can't hear it without getting goosebumps all over my body. Also, Solemnum. Holy Christ, such an amazing moment in a video game. I'm not even going to put it on screen right now because if you haven't experienced this moment yourself, you deserve to. But if you know, you know. Outer Wilds is definitely being talked about as a Game of the Year contender, but I just wish more people would pick up this game and play it. I understand that the very open nature of this game will turn some people off from playing it, and it's not for everyone. I'll admit that I first started playing it when it launched in the middle of the year. I played it for about an hour and put it down. To be honest, I only came back to it recently because I felt like I hadn't given the game enough time. And I'm really glad I did. Outer Wilds has entered a rare selection of games that I can't stop thinking about. Immediately after finishing it, I thought, wow, this was amazing and probably my Game of the Year right now. But now, the more time I get away from it, the more I am stunned at how well this game succeeded. It's something I think needs to be experienced, because I'm sure I'll still be thinking about this game for years to come. Thank you very much for watching my video on Outer Wilds. If you enjoyed this video and wanted to see some more content by me, consider subscribing to this channel, and following me on various social medias, which I have links to all below. I also do a weekly talk show about current gaming news that I host live on Twitch every Thursday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and I have a second channel where the VODs go to called Around the Monitor Live. But either way, thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.